RBT family, what is the deal? It's your dog Willie Jack, and we are back, baby, back with more NFL action. Wildcard weekend is officially in the books. All right, Wildcard weekend is officially in the books. Split between Saturday and Sunday, of course. Honestly, man, not an overly competitive wildcard weekend, to say the least. I think we had one competitive, I guess, matchup out of all the wild card matchups. In the AFC, it was a wash, or it was chalk, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Even though the Texans at 4 were considered to be the predicted, I guess, upset. I don't know of many of anyone outside of Houston, or if you're just a Texans fan like my dog, terrible time. Outside of somebody like that, I don't know of anyone who predicted the Texans to move to win and move forward into the divisional weekend. And it didn't matter who it was against, honestly. I mean, it was really like it felt like they were scheduled to lose. They come out and don't play the cleanest of games, but definitely get a dub. So shout out to the Texans. Let me see. And then, yeah, I mean, other than that, man, all these matchups, has definitely been pretty one-sided. Of course, outside of the one that we did get, an actual competitive and entertaining game, the Washington Commanders versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers game that was fairly competitive. Had a little bit of late game theatrics as well to add to the add to the show, add to the end, and add some spice to the end in there. So definitely can't wait to see what this next round of divisional football entails for us. So we'll definitely get into all of that as well. Let me see what else we got going on. We've got a little news as well in the NFL, of course. The NFL coaching carousel is starting to warm up a little bit. There's rumors about potential pairings between available coaches, of course, and the team openings to get us going. To get us going. How about this one as the first one, man. And it's probably no secret, man. This one's probably the writing's probably been on the wall for this one. It's especially ever since Gerard Mayo was let go. Whether or not you agree with that decision or not, that's another story. But Gerard Mayo being let go definitely cleared the runway for this move to happen. Mike Vrabel going back home. If you've been a fan of if you've been a fan of myself, you've been listening to me on across various platforms, talk football, man, then you should know. I think Mike Vrabel is a hell of a coach. I think I don't know if it was a year or so ago, me and my dog Chop, man, we did like a coach's ranking. I thought for his time in Tennessee, I considered Mike Vrabel to be a top 10 coach in the league. So I'm definitely a big fan of Vrabel and what he got done there in his time in Tennessee. I didn't like the way he was let go there as well. And so he, of course, goes back home and lands on his feet. And honestly, I think that's a team that has a chance to take a big step forward in this upcoming 2025 season. So we had a great rookie showing. Great may be a little strong. We had a very good, and I think surprisingly good to a certain extent, showing from rookie Drake May. I was not a Drake May, guy, so to say, going into this year's draft. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll keep saying it because I wear my W's and my L's the same. You know what I'm saying? I was pretty low on Drake May considering. I thought I had him as the fifth best quarterback in this last year's draft. I had him behind Caleb Williams, behind Jaden Daniels, behind Michael Penix Jr., behind J.J. McCarthy. I'm not ashamed to say it. And then I had him 5 right ahead of Bo Nix. And both those guys, from where I viewed them going into this draft, both those guys exceeded expectations for me personally, at least. And I thought Drake May showed a lot of promise for sure. I like that, they've got some young core pieces there. Christian Gonzalez is going to be a dude, man. Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback on the defense side of the ball, he's going to be a stud. He's going to be a real player in this league sooner rather than later. I mean, he's playing damn good ball. And I really like the guys they drafted. Now, they didn't necessarily show well this season. I'm talking about Jalen Polk and was it Javon Baker from Central Florida? I was big fans of both those guys as prospects coming in. Both those guys were in my top 12 receiver rankings this past draft. I had them both above guy like Lad McConkey. You can say what you want to. That's how I had it. You know what I mean? And so now Lad played his ass off as well. Had a very good year. The book isn't written on any of these guys though, so it's not to say that these guys, won't turn into or develop into the players that I anticipated. But no, I mean, if this rookie season is any tell, Lad definitely, has got off to a tremendous start. And these guys still have time to grow, especially as Drake May, comes into his own as well. So also tons and tons and tons of cap space. And so this last year, they had a lot of money last year too. But it's, they were a hard sell. We didn't know what we were getting for Drake May. First year after Belichick, rookie head coach and Gerard Mayo as well. It's a harder sell in the free agent market. I think this year they'll have a little more traction. I think somebody's going to take that money. They were trying to throw money bags at anyone who was available to listen, and no one really wanted to take them up. No one really wanted to take them up on the money they was offering. Namely, let's say Brandon Ayuk. You know what I mean? They tried to cash him out. He said, "Nah, no, thank you." But nah, this year I think it's gonna be a different story. Now you see they've got a viable option at the quarterback position moving forward in Drake May. Like I said, they've got that young talent there, and Mike Vrabel is a proven commodity. He had a nice run in Tennessee. I think the peak of it, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC one year. Now they lose that game at home to the Bengals. That's the year the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, of course. But still, he had a very competitive and he was very competitive throughout his tenure there, and he had great success. Like I said, they were on the verge of, well, no, I think that was a divisional game, but still, they were competitive. He's shown that he can coach winning football, and I like the demeanor that his teams in Tennessee had as well. This is also the prime or I was going to say peak, but I don't even know if I want to say the peak of Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry's still balling. Derrick Henry just had his second greatest statistical rushing year of his career. So I don't even want to say that he peaked in Tennessee because he's still rolling. But I say all that to say Mike Vrabel was a fantastic coach in my opinion. And of course this move makes sense, man. He's going back home. You'll see if he can right the ship. And I think he's got the tools in place to do so. So I like that move. I like it. Let's see who done jumped in my chat, man. Who's hollering at your dog, man? Shout out to my dog Keandre, man. He said it's live and we lit, man. Put them comments on the way, big dog. Them comments on the way, man. Appreciate you as always, bro. And hold on, I don't like how that look. Hold on, maybe that's a little better. There we go. Yeah, shout out to my dog Keandre, man. And also, y'all heard what he said, man. Tap in with the 3 amigos. And matter of fact, where's my banner? There we go. Tap in with the 3 amigos, man. Like, share, and subscribe, man. They ain't went nowhere. They just sitting in the upper room now, man. They OGs, man. They ain't went nowhere. Like, share, and subscribe, man. Tap in with your dog. Ain't no free rides, man. Ain't no such thing as a free lunch. Get in here. Tap in with the 3 amigos. Drop something in the chat. Say what's up to your dog. And then sit back and enjoy yourself, big dog. Sit back and enjoy yourself, man. My dog Keandre said Lad will develop into a true number 1. Now that I think, because when you say true number 1, I don't know how much, and I don't mean this to sound disrespectful. I think he played damn good. You know what I'm saying? If I was going to announce an all rookie team, I've got a list, of course. I make all this stuff. I don't always put it out as content. Let's say for the sake of conversation, if I was going to release, an RBT all rookie NFL team, he's a guy. He's the starter across from Brian Thomas Jr. I'm going to give him that edge over Malik Neighbors. Now, not a measure of talent, and Malik Neighbors still had a fantastic season as well. I would probably lean Lad McConkey. I think he was overall probably more consistent. Now, that's not a shot or a fault at Malik Neighbors, because his situation there with Daniel Jones and other guys, Drew Luck and Tommy DeVito, he had a lot more stuff to work through, man, and just the lack of talent on that team itself. But yeah, I would give that edge, man. If I'm listing 3 receivers, then those are the 3 guys. But if I had to list 2, wide receiver 1, Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver 2 for me would be Lad McConkey, man. So he had a fantastic year. Now, the only thing I would say, Keandre, is I think he's probably a little closer to his ceiling than he is his floor. So he came in, he's playing at an above the line. He's playing at a plus level. I don't know how much more he has to offer. And that's not a bad thing, though. You know what I mean? That's not a bad thing. The only reason I was kind of pushed back on maybe him developing into like what you're saying is a true 1 is because, like, he can get it done. We've seen him be the lead guy in his rookie year for this Chargers team, but I can't help feeling that if it's my team and Ladd McConkey, as solid and dependable as he's shown to be as a rookie, if he's my number one, I still feel like I can improve that position because he still has limits to his own game. Now he has shown to be explosive. You know what I mean? He can run, he can move now. In that Texans game before they were on the verge of getting washed, that thing can completely get out of hand. He catches a deep shot over the middle and some missed tackling and bad angles later. He takes off for 86 and finishes with an 86-yard touchdown. But I still don't know if that's the pinnacle of the position that I want in my receiver room if I'm building my team. You know what I mean? I think I'd like for him to be a very competent 2, more so than the thought that he's my alpha 1. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily know if I see him as an alpha 1. But now I'd much rather have him be my. I was trying to think of somebody for comparison, and I'm not just trying to make a white boy to white boy comparison, white receiver, right? I'm not meaning it to sound like that, but yeah, no. Like I said, I just don't know. I don't know if he'll ever be, or if I would ever view him as a true alpha dog number 1. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter the down, the distance. Doesn't matter. Everybody in the stadium knows we're going to you right now on 3rd and 7. You know what I'm saying? To score this touchdown or win this game or get this first down. I don't know if I want that for Ladd. You know what I mean? I don't know if I want that. But no, I ain't mad at that at all, man. Matter of fact, shout out to my dog Isaiah, man. If he gets him, if he's in here as well, man, because he's a big Chargers fan. So yeah, he'd have probably been on my head already for hinting that I might be downplaying his Chargers. Hey man, I'm telling you, Keandre, man, I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on with YouTube. I done reached out to the help desk or whatever and everything, bro. They, you know what I'm saying? They faking on my credentials, man. They won't let me get my dog his stripes, man. They trying to fake on my credentials, man. I'm trying to work it out. I got you though, big dog. Said Ladman reminds him of Wes Welker. Now, see, you got to be careful with that, Keandre. Are you saying that because he's short and white, or are you really just saying that? Because don't get caught up in, you know what I'm saying? He's just he's a short white receiver, so we got to compare it to a short white dude. I'm just making sure. You know what I'm saying? Now, I think he's more athletic than Wes Welker. Well, he's faster. His long speed is probably better than Wes Welker. Wes Welker had tremendous short area quickness for sure. So, no, I think if we're, and I hate we're going here as well, but if we're talking, undersized white receivers, I think he's probably because probably a little more Julian Edelman than Wes. And I only say that because I think Julian Edelman, I feel like he had a little more juice than Wes as far as long speed. Because Ladd timed great. Now I don't necessarily know if he timed at 4.3 at the combine. Now I don't necessarily know if he's always necessarily 4.3 on the field. No, he caught, like I said, he caught that deep shot across the middle in that Texans game, and he took it 40 yards to the crib. Didn't nobody catch him, so who knows? Who knows? Gotcha. I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure. I remember this last draft season when Ladd McConkey and Ricky Pearsall, 2 white receivers, talented guys, when they were coming in, that was all the draft talking comparisons. People were just saying, hey man, don't just compare these guys to white guys just because they're white. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's all it was. See my dog County says short, great cuts, great wheels, tough. I got you. Look at my dog. Yeah, he said, hey, don't get it messed up. He said, don't get me misunderstood now. He's talking real ball, man. Shout out to my dog, Keandre. Shout out to my dog. Then what we had some more coaching news as well, man. I want to touch on. Here we go. So, Dallas Cowboys decide to go ahead and move on from Coach Mike McCarthy. And the rumors were that Jerry reached out to Coach Prime. Said he called out there to Boulder, Colorado, just to check the temperature. See what Dion was doing. Hey, Dion. Hey, Prime. It's Jerry. How you doing? Yeah. Yeah, so what you got going on, man? What you doing for the next 30 Sundays or so? Yeah. And so they say there was, he went out there, just kind of checked with him, see where his head's at. Now, here's the thing about it. And I guess there's been a conversation like, okay, well, how real is it? You know what I mean? How real is it? How real was it? You know what I mean? How serious was Coach Prime, Coach Deion Sanders? How serious was his consideration, if that's the case? Or is this, just tactful, what's the right word I want to say here? Tactful propaganda or tactful, maybe not propaganda. It's just tactful marketing, man. Jerry is a master salesman. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things we can say about Jerry Jones, but we cannot question his business acumen, right? And his business savviness. You know what I'm saying? His talent for marketing, for keeping the Cowboys name relevant outside of winning. Name another organization in sports that has been so relevant over the last 30 years, devoid of winning. You know what I'm saying? Like, how long after Steph retires will we still talk about the Warriors? Think about it. We won't. We won't. We won't. You know what I mean? So Jerry's got a talent and skill, man. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. And we'll never know whether or not, let's say if Deion said, yeah, man, I'm down. I'm ready to come back out to Frisco. I ain't never left, man. I still got my crib out there in Little Elm. Or no, I'm in Little Elm or Prosper, wherever Prime's at. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm ready. So who's to say if Jerry would have took him up on it? I mean, I don't know. But be that as it may, I'll give some thoughts. Now, one thing I would say is I don't see any reason why Deion wouldn't coach Prime. I don't want to disrespect you. Huh? I don't want to disrespect you at all, Coach Prime. That's Coach Prime. You know what I mean? I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be a viable candidate. You know what I mean? So we've seen college coaches go to the pro ranks, and not all of them have Coach Prime. You know what I'm saying? Deion Sanders. Not all of them have his pedigree, his NFL pedigree. A player played at the highest of levels, an all-time great. And I say, like, he's the standard for the position. You know what I mean? A living legend. Deion Sanders is one of these guys that qualifies as a real deal, true to life, living legend. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, absolutely. I see no reason at all. I don't see any reason at all why Deion Sanders wouldn't be a viable coaching candidate for any number of these jobs. You know, honestly. So I want to get that point across as well. Now, if I'm Deion, if I'm Coach Prime, I don't know if I want that job though. I don't know if I want that job, man. The Cowboys job itself, as far as head coaching job, it's lost a lot of luster, man. It's really lost a lot of luster. Now, once upon a time, this could have been a holy grail style of position. Prime time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not talking about Deion Sanders right now, but I'm saying like your assured prime time game slots. You know what I mean? The most valuable team in the league, the most marketed team in the league, the most marketable team in the league. You know what I mean? Like all these things start, you know what I'm saying? It's the Hollywood of the South. You know what I'm saying? Dallas Cowboys football is the Hollywood of the South. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a big job, man. It's a big job on a big stage. But it's got a little luggage. It's a little luggage, just a little baggage to come with that job. You know what I mean? So, dealing with Jerry and Steven, you know what I mean? The way they've been handling their business as far as contracts go and the way they tie up the money and maybe make things a little harder on themselves is what it seems like to, people like myself who maybe look from the outside in. But, there's always a lot of noise around the organization, and there's just tons and tons of pressure to win and perform because they've been on a championship drought for quite a while now. And I know what that's like as a Steelers fan. I know what it's like, man. You're a championship, your pedigree as an organization is championships, and you ain't won one in a while. You ain't been close to winning one in a while. So I get that as well. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. I'm curious to see who gets that Cowboys job. My dog Keandre said Jerry Jones is a master salesman and a trash GM. That's a fact. That's a fact, bro. Well, hold on. Here's the thing, though, Keandre. I don't even know if I want to call him a trash GM because they always have talent. Like, the talent's not a problem. They got Dak Prescott in the 4th round. Now, even that year when Dak was coming out of Mississippi State for a time, maybe it was just 2-3 weeks, whatever it was. Dak had Mississippi State in the prime of SEC football, when SEC football, Coach Saban and Bama, when SEC football was the major leagues and every other conference was double A ball, that is the SEC that Dak Prescott led Mississippi State to be the number one team in the country. That SEC era of football. So Dak ball. You know what happened with Dak Prescott? And I'm not saying he would have been a first round pick. I think at the time, I think maybe I maybe had him as like at a 2, like in the second. Or, but yeah, so that style of guy. He had a DUI. He had a DUI or DWI like that off season. I don't know how close it was to the draft, but I definitely remember, I want to say Dak had a DUI like maybe a couple weeks before the draft. And now who's to know how much it affected him? I don't know. Coming out of Mississippi State. But Mississippi State was number one in the country for at least a couple weeks. And I can't remember if they made the SEC championship or not, or just how far they went. But Dak was baller. Now, outside of that, I mean, that's just one guy, but still, those rosters are filled with talent. Michael Parsons kind of falling in their lap, you know what I mean? And then the good fortune of Tank Lawrence getting injured, because Michael Parsons was brought in to be a stack backer. He was brought in to be a 4-3 stack outside linebacker. And then Tank Lawrence goes down. Micah's got he's got experience as a rusher. And then you strike gold. You know what I'm saying? You strike gold. But no, those teams are always talented, especially along the offensive lines. It seems like now they're in the process of rebuilding that offensive line. But no, man, they bring in talent. Now, Jerry, to this point in his career, he's the GM in name, but his son, Steven, and Will McClay is the guy who's really the secret sauce, the guy behind like the draft success. He's really the guy that, oversees the draft along with Steven, but he's really the kind of mastermind behind that. But now they always bring in talent. Now, keeping the right talent, paying the right talent on time, things like that. Jerry has definitely left a lot to be desired, especially of late. You know what I mean? These last few years, but no, that's what's so crazy though, man. Is I don't know who wants that job. Ben Johnson, by all accounts, doesn't want that job. Ben Johnson is likely gonna. I would assume he's gonna go out there to coach the Raiders. You know what I mean? Tom Brady is in ownership. They fired the GM. One of the caveats that Ben Johnson had made known was if he comes to your organization, he wants to be heavily involved in all the personnel decisions. And so it may not be a full-on he's head coach in GM a la like a Mike Vrabel, but he's going to bring in his own guy as far as GM. And so he's got the cachet to do it. So it looks like the Raiders are clearing the runway for Ben Johnson. I would think that when the time comes, that may be the move we see that gets made there. Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, he's got ties to that New York Jets opening as well. So, maybe that's the move there. Pete Carroll's interview is, it's known that Pete Carroll's interview with Chicago. Now, I don't know if that's where he winds up or not, but I say all that to say, I just don't know who really wants that Cowboys job. I'm sure someone wants it because there's only 32 of these jobs in the world. So somebody wants it, but I don't know if it's anybody's top choice. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. And so, yeah, I'm curious to see how that Cowboys job works out. Let's see. Doc County said, "Hey, Coach promised Shador to Vegas." Man, I tell you what, I've said the same thing, man. I was on shout out to my dog BP, man, and No Balls, No Glory. I was on their show, man, on YouTube, just in their chat. This is probably a month and a half. No, probably longer than that, man. This is probably closer to 2 months ago. And we were talking about it on their show, man. I put that in the chat on their show. Imagine Coach Prime and Shador both going to Vegas. And then if Coach Prime was to get that job, and at this time it was looking like the Raiders were probably going to be the number one pick, drafts his son. Let's say they go sign T. Higgins in the offseason as well. Like, man, hey, that'd be crazy. I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. You know what I'm saying? Just for the storylines itself. Like, that's cold, man. Like, that's cold. That's next level. LeBron getting the Lakers to draft his son so him and his son can play together, that's dope as well. But Coach Prime going to be the coach, drafting his son, and then, you know what I'm saying? Man, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. Yeah, man. That'd be crazy. I like where your head's at, bruh. I like where your head's at, Keandre. I'm with you. I'm with you. But I don't. I think one of the things that came out when Dion was talking, when they were talking, when someone called and asked Dion about the Cowboys job, I think one of the things was if he were to take an NFL job, he want to do it to coach his sons, and he's including Shiloh. Like he would want it to be a tandem. You know what I'm saying? A tandem package. Now, Shadur is expected to go. He's going to go top 5. Top 10 at the very worst. You know what I'm saying? But he's going to go early in the draft. So his chances are limited. Now, Shiloh's probably a guy that you're going to get on day 3. He's going to be a guy that's going to go 7th round or be a priority UDFA, a priority free agent, maybe go that route. And so now Coach Prime, getting a head coaching job, he could probably draft his son. And I guarantee he would. Like I said, if you got, these 6th and 7th round draft picks, etc. You know what I mean? You can find space to get a guy if you really want him, if the coach really wants him. And I guarantee you that'd be a caveat that it would be known with the organization he went to, like, hey man, this is what we doing. We got 7 draft spots, man. My son Shiloh's gonna be one of them 7, man. And it's not gonna be an early one. So So I could see that happening. But yeah, him getting a job and being guaranteed to get Shador, though, that's a different story. That's a different story. But moving on, man. Like I said, we had a little football. This past weekend, man. Let's talk about some of these divisional matchups. First up, Buffalo at Denver. Excuse me. Denver at Buffalo. They get spanked, man. And they end up getting washed. Now, this one, and shout out to my dog Time, man. Terrible Time. He called me while this game was on, man. We talked a little bit. Denver came out there, man, and struck first. And maybe looked like they maybe had to turn this into a game. You know what I mean? They come out. Bo Nix hits a deep shot to his former college teammate Troy Franklin. How far was that? Yeah, 43-yard touchdown in quarter 1. Buffalo gets the ball. They stall out. I think they just get a field goal. It started a little slow. I think maybe their first 2 scores may have been field goals. Field goal on that first drive for sure. But that early bright spot for the Broncos, that was all she wrote. Man, because then after that, the Bills and that defense, they kind of settle in. Josh and that offense, they just stay the course. And the running game really carried the day for Buffalo. Now, Josh is Josh, man. Josh is always going to make 1 or 2 plays a game that are just like, damn, that boy's special. And that was that was evident in this one as well. Fantastic. The touchdown, he scrambles, he buys a lot of time, and then rather than throw it away, he throws a dart to the back line of the end zone, and the third down back, Ty Johnson, makes an absolutely fantastic catch for a touchdown right up against the back end zone line without going out of bounds. Like, he's laying on the line, his feet are in the air, because if his feet drag the ground, his feet are going to be out of bounds. Fantastic, great throw, fantastic catch. You know what I mean? So, tremendous play there. And then, yeah, like I said, James Cook in that running game really carried the day. James Cook goes 23 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown. Big Josh also had 46 yards rushing, finishes 20 for 26 for 272 yards in the air and 2 touchdowns passing as well. So, like I said, they settle in and carry that thing on out. And then if you're Denver, honestly, similar to kind of the story I talked about with Drake May, brighter days are ahead. I don't know if anyone expected even this level of success that the Broncos had, especially drafting a rookie Bo Nix, right? And they're in cap hell, cap purgatory. So much of their cap tied up into Russell Wilson, right? That he was charged. He counted like 45 million against their cap. You trade Jerry Jeudy, as well. Trade him away. Was that mid-season? Was that man? I can't remember. I want to say Jerry Jeudy got traded like early in this season. Just never really got solid footing there with that Broncos organization. You trade him away. It just looks, you're anticipating this is just going to be a rebuild year. But no, sir. They've got a defensive player of the year candidate in Patrick Surtain. They have excellent production from their edge rushers, namely Nick Bonito, had a Pro Bowl caliber year. Jonathan Cooper, the other edge, he's also a very solid guy. You get a Pro Bowl and all-pro caliber year from defensive interior lineman Zach Allen, and that defense definitely was a force. And then you get Drake May, who maybe he started a little slower to start the season. Let's say that first month or so of the year, those first 3-4 games or so. But then once he hit his groove, Bo Nix played ball. Bo Nix played damn good ball, especially in that kind of middle point of the season. Like I said, once we got around week 4 or 5 or so, up into week 8, 9, 10 or so, Bo Nix was playing as good or better than just about anybody in the league. There weren't many quarterbacks playing better than Bo Nix at this time. And that Sean Payton offensive system, it's not a cakewalk. Russell Wilson couldn't get a hang of it. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It asks you to throw a lot of passes inside the numbers, a lot of deep overs, a lot of progressional reads to hit those shots, things that just don't play well to Russell Wilson's skill set and his size limitations, man. He's short. He's a shorter guy. And so Bo Nix came in and he was making very high level throws, very high level progressions. He played his ass off, and his athleticism showed through. Bo Nix was phenomenal. So similar to what I said about the Patriots, but even more so, this is a team as well on the rise. In this first season, you make the playoffs. Like I said, you end up getting washed, but this is a tremendous stepping stone for the Broncos and Bo Nix specifically going forward. So kudos and shout out to them, man, on a fantastic season for sure. For sure. Let's see. Who's this in the chat, man? Said, what's up? Charles, this is my dog RTC. Is that my dog RTC? What's up with you, bruh? What's up with you, man? Yeah, man. Hey, them Chargers had a rough one, man. Them Chargers had a rough one against the Texans. What was that? That was gonna be last Saturday. Yeah, that was a rough day at the office, man. Extremely rough day for your boy Justin Herbert, man. 4 interceptions. Threw 3 interceptions on the season, threw 4 in that game. Now, one of them for sure went off Will Dissly's hands. You know what I mean? So it's hard to charge. I mean, it gets charged to Herbert, but it's hard to necessarily fault him for that one, so we won't. It hits the stat sheet, though. 4 interceptions. Then the other one went to Ladd McConkey. I still don't even want to put that on Ladd. You know what I mean? Like, Ladd got up and fully extended and was able to get, you know what I'm saying, like 8 fingertips on it. But that's a bad ball. I'm not putting that on Ladd. That's a bad ball, Justin Herbert. So I'm charging that one to you, bro. You know what I mean? I'm charging that to Justin. But yeah, shout out to my dog RTC, man. Let's see. Moving on. We had more divisional football as well. Wait. We just talked about Buffalo. How did I get out of order? Oh, no, I didn't. See, I lost my place. Here we go. Philly beats Green Bay 22-10. This one was pretty one-sided as well. The score's a little closer than it felt like this game was, at least at times for sure. This one started bad for Green Bay right out the gate. Green Bay already kind of came into the playoffs a little beat up. They lost Christian Watson to a torn ACL at the very end of the regular season. Jordan Love also got kind of nicked up or beat up toward the end of this season as well, the regular season as well. So you come into this game already a little beat up. You're on the road in Philly. It's already a tough team, tough place to play. And this is a team in Philly that is fully rested and ready to go. Jalen Hurts had missed 2 weeks, attributed to a concussion. Saquon Barkley sat down week 17, did not have the opportunity to chase the single season rushing record, but rested his legs. His legs are fresh. The offensive line, anybody who was anybody on that roster sat week 17 essentially. Is a well-rested, tough place to play. You're already beat up if you're Green Bay, and they go out there and get a hit stick and a fumble on the opening kickoff of this game, man. Opening kickoff of the game, a fumble. Philly recovers. Jalen Hurts punches it in for a touchdown on a pass to Jahan Dotson? I think it was to Jahan Dotson. His only catch of the day. But hey, if you're only going to catch one, you might as well get in the paint, Jahan Dotson. So I ain't mad at you, man. I ain't mad at you at all. But yeah, and then that game just was that's a lot to overcome. The playoffs is just such a different level of intensity, different level of ball, man. Momentum. All these things are just greatly exacerbated, or they weigh so much more now in the playoffs than they do in the regular season, man. So that's just a tall order. Like I said, it was already going to be a tough day at the office. And you can't give up a freebie right there out the gate to a team that doesn't need help anyway. You know what I mean? And so that would happen to Green Bay. That Eagles defense definitely came to play. They had 3 interceptions in this game. Let me see. Yeah, 3 picks in this game. Saquon had himself a very solid day. 25 carries, 119 yards. I think his last rush to kind of seal the deal, he slid. He probably could have took off. That probably could have been a 55 yard touchdown if he wanted to, you know what I'm saying, hoof it onto the end zone. But, you know, he gets the first down and goes ahead and takes the knee. And then, you know, there's your ball game. And so, but so impressive performance by the Eagles. They're going to move on in this next week as well. Now, here's the story from this game. All right. Here's the story from this game. And tell me if y'all seen this as well. AJ Brown, man. AJ Brown, who made some waves now earlier this season, unhappy with his volume, man, his usage in the offense. You know what I'm saying? And so he made some public statements. Now they try to play it off and whoop-de-woo and nah, man, we just da-da-da-da. No, it don't mean nothing, man. That's my boy, man. That's my dog. Blah, blah, blah. Of course, talking about him and his relationship with Jalen Hurts, his quarterback. And then, of course, it had to be the week before they played my Steelers. So then, now that they in the news, now that's the week they rally against my Steelers to prove that we everybody's friends, and they have a fantastic day. It may have been the best passing performance of Jalen Hurts' season in that game against my Steelers, of course. But be that as it may, rough day dogs for AJ Brown. 1 catch for 10 yards. 1 catch for 10 yards. And hey, man, and here's the thing about it. Call him selfish, call him a diva, whatever. He's a receiver. He's a stud receiver, an all-pro caliber receiver. You know what I mean? So he's a dude. And whatever we want to say about his attitude or his demeanor, you want a receiver that wants the ball, period. And so it comes with the territory, man. It comes with the territory. That's just what it is. So I don't necessarily hold it against AJ Brown now. I don't like that sometimes he airs our dirty laundry. You know, pout a little bit. I'm not mad at you, bro. Pout a little bit. Let Jalen know he's not getting you the ball. Like, hey, bro, Howie Rosen gave me $30 million. He didn't give me $30 million to watch you throw to somebody else. I can't go a playoff game with 1 catch. That's unacceptable. He's right. I can't go any game with 1 catch. I'm AJ Brown, bro. I'm the $30 million man on this team, bro. I'm a dude in this league. I'm a tier 1 option in this league, bro. I need the ball. So I feel that. You know what I'm saying? Because this game, maybe we can get away with winning this game without him being a factor, but you can't count on that. So get him the ball. Get him the ball. He's not wrong. Now, the way you go about it is a different story, bro. Don't air out the dirty laundry. Don't let everybody in our business. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I don't like about it. But be that as it may, he's not wrong. And so there was a clip of AJ Brown on the sideline toward the end of the game or in the second half, and people are saying he was checked out. He pulled out a book, and I guess was reading passages from a book of his. And then here's the thing about that as well. It looks bad, and it's a story for sure because I hadn't seen or heard anything about that happening throughout the season. But when AJ Brown talked about it himself, he said, "No, man, this is the book he was reading. It was some style of not self-help, but it was some style of like it was a man. What's the word? Help me out, man. Help me out, chat. What's the word I'm looking for? For lack of a better word, some style of like self-help book. I'm struggling to find a good word. You know what I'm saying? But it was a book about like championship mentality, like having the right mindset, staying locked in, or etc. And so he's got passages that he highlights that he refers back to, you know, at points when he feels like he needs it. You know what I mean? Like how to stay locked in, how to stay focused, man, how to keep your mind on the main prize, the main goal. You know what I mean? And so things like that. And so he, you know, gave that as explanation. And I'm not mad about that. Because I don't see a problem with that. Now, where it gets dicey is if this is something you do every game, AJ Brown, which is what he said he does, and maybe he doesn't mean literally every game, but it's not, this was the first time. It's not like he just got to the bench and was feeling petty and sent a runner to the locker room to bring his book out to make it. I don't think it was anything like that. But have we ever seen or heard of this happening before in any other games? That's my only question. It's like it only made news because it hadn't been seen before. And you were having a very quiet day. You know what I mean? And so I'm sure there was some clips or some visuals of you maybe looking, appearing frustrated or whatever the case. And so that makes it more newsworthy. But if this is something that you've always done, then yeah, I ain't mad at that at all. The only thing I would say is like, if that's the case, then I hope you do it in the games you do well in as well. So if you go 7 for $130 and 2 tubs, I hope sometime in that game you ran through your book. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just pull it out when it's a day you go 1 for 10 or a day you go 3 for 22. If it only comes out at them points, well then, yeah, man, it maybe does give a little credence to the people who are speaking against those actions. But no, if it is what you say it is, then that means, hey, man, it should be present in the good and the bad. If you go 8 for $156 and 3 tubs, I want to see that book in your hand sometime during the game. That's the only thing I would say. That's the only thing I would say. But outside of that, man, besides the point, I think AJ Brown's a fantastic player. I really enjoy him. He's one of my favorites in the league, man. He's one of my favorite guys to watch for sure. Definitely one of my favorites. Moving on. Next on the docket. Now, this one was probably like I said, definitely probably the game of the week. This is the most competitive game out of all of Wildcard weekend. We've got Washington on the road at Tampa Bay, finding a way to get this dub. Man, this one, I really wanted my dog, Big Baker Mayfield, to get this Wildcard win. If y'all know me, man. Y'all been on the show. Y'all have heard me talk about Baker Mayfield for the last 2 months. Talk about Baker's going to win this division, and Baker's going to give hell to whoever got to go see him Wild Card weekend in Tampa Bay. I expected him to get a dub. Whatever that 4-5 matchup, I was calling it blind. Baker Mayfield's going to win his matchup, his home Wild Card game in the 4-5. Now, I thought they were going to be the 4-5. They end up finishing as 3 seed, and so they get the number 6 matchup, Washington. This still was a winnable game as well, man. Still was a winnable game. There were opportunities there. There was opportunities by both of these squads for sure. Both these squads left points off the field or on the field, however you say it. You know what I mean? Both these teams didn't necessarily maximize all their scoring opportunities, but competitive game. Jaden Daniels ends up going 24 for 35, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, another 36 rushing. De'Ami Brown has a big day, 89 yards and a touchdown in the air. Scary Terry does what Scary Terry does, also 89 yards and a touchdown in the air. And the key moment in this game, everything else that transpired and happened, we could boil the game down to this. Oh, hold on, let me tell you about Baker Mayfield, Big Bake. Big Bake, relatively, so I mean, it was a relatively quiet day. Only 15 for 18. Only 18 pass attempts in this entire game at the crib in a playoff game. I don't like that. Right? Now, time of possession and turnovers come into play, but still, I don't like that. But of his 18 passing attempts, 15 completions. 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Now, the turning point in this game, unfortunately, was a late fumble by Baker Mayfield, man. They're running some style of jet sweep or reverse, whatever, and it was a fumble on the handoff. You know what I mean? A fumble on the handoff is attributed to Baker Mayfield. You know what I mean? So a fumble there. Washington recovers. I think Bobby Wagner recovered, and that, for all intents and purposes, is the ball game. It's a 20-20 game right now. At that point, we're inside of the 2-minute warning. The defense has stood up and got the ball back for the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers are looking like they're going to drive down and get the game-winning field goal themselves, or that's what they're working towards. And instead, we get that fumble on the handoff from Baker. Washington recovers, and Jaden Daniels puts the boys to bed, man. Jaden Daniels puts those boys to bed. The deciding, I guess, play that kind of put the game-winning field goal in position was it's a third and decent, third and medium or so, and then Jaden Daniels drops back. He gets pressure. I can't think of Buddy's name for the Buccaneers. Kalijah Kancey. I take it back. Kalijah Kancey gets quick pressure, but can't get there, man. He gets a hand on Jaden Daniels, actually snatches his towel off of him, snatches his towel off his waistband. Jaden Daniels boots out and is able to evade him and go, scramble to his right, gets a first down, gets in field goal range, and Kalijah Kancey's chasing him, holding the towel. I was like, let the towel go, man. Why are you still holding on to the towel? You missed Jaden Daniels. He kept the towel. He kept the towel in hand while I was chasing him down. But be as may, Jaden made a fantastic play, man. His athleticism has shined, has been a bright spot all year. Gets his team in the scoring position, and then they teed up for the field goal kicker to come win this game. And then still, not to leave us without still a little more excitement, the field goal still wasn't clean itself, man. It doinks, you know what I'm saying? Hits one of the uprights. We get one of those doink field goal kicks, and when it hits the upright, you always got to watch because there's no, you never know. Is it going to bounce left and in or right now? And this one bounced to the left and went in, and Washington won this game on a walk-off game-winning doink field goal, 23-20, and they are moving on to the divisional round. So, so that's, like I said, that was the most competitive game that we definitely got to see all wild card weekend. And so, and I'm not mad about it, man. I like you said, y'all know I'm a fan of Baker Mayfield. There's no secret there. I want to see them go forward, but I'm not at all sad or upset or disappointed in seeing the Commanders go forward as well, because I am a fan of Jaden Daniels. Fantastic rookie season to start his career, set some style of accuracy rating, and not just a rookie accuracy rating, a league-wide accuracy rating. So he's got a record above guys like Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, you name them. He's a accuracy record holder, I think, for like the first 7 games of a season or something of that nature. So tremendous season for Jaden Daniels, arguably an offensive rookie of the year caliber of season. He's definitely in that. So that's a 2-horse race, 1A and 1B, depending on how you feel between Jaden Daniels and Brock Bowers, stud all-world tight end from the Raiders. But fantastic season for sure. And also, I feel like we haven't talked about it maybe enough, but kudos and congratulations to Dan Campbell as well. The job he did with that Washington team. Leaving Dallas, being the defensive coordinator there for a number of years, going to Washington, his first head coaching job since his stint in Atlanta, the infamous 28-3 Super Bowl collapse against the Patriots with Matt Ryan in the game, right? And so his first head coaching job again since then, and in his rookie year in his first year as a head coach for Washington Commanders, with a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels on a roster that was not thought to be overly talented. Last year, they were the number 2 pick in the draft. So it's not an overly talented roster, right? But you get the right quarterback and the right coaching staff around them. Shout out to what's my dog's name? What's the guy's name? The offensive coordinator for the Commanders as well. Was the head coach for the Cardinals, and Kyler Murray came from college. Was he at Texas Tech? Why am I blanking on my names today, y'all? I'm blanking on his name. Shout out to him as well for salvaging his own NFL prospects, because it was not pretty in Arizona with Kyler Murray. That offense looked a little vanilla, no motion. Everybody lined up in the, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was very kind of rigid the way the formations and the personnel were used. But be that as it may, man, they come in, you get Jaden Daniels, and we see what happens when we've got the right player in the right circumstance or situation. Like you can find this kind of damn near instant success 1 year removed from being a number 2 pick on a roster that's not overly talented. You've got Terry McLaurin, who is a fantastic receiver. I've been a fan of Terry for a while. I was a big proponent of his, especially before it feels like his name got more mainstream. And you know what I'm saying? He cashed a nice bag a couple years ago at the Commanders as well. I love to see that. But yeah, this isn't an overly talented team. Half the players on that defense were backups on Dallas's defense. And look what those guys are doing. Bringing over an elder statesman now at this point in his career in Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner having a fantastic year for you as well. Recovering the fumble that allowed Jaden Daniels to get you in the field goal range. You know what I mean? So kudos to Dan Campbell, man, for having a fantastic coaching year. Definitely a guy that should be on the ballot for Coach of the Year. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for when those awards are going to be announced, but definitely a guy. Now, I don't know if I necessarily rank him above a guy like Kevin O'Connell or Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, Jim Harbaugh. But I think those would be the guys that I would consider for Coach of the Year: Kevin O'Connell, Jim Harbaugh, Dan Campbell. You know what I mean? Like I think those would be the guys that I would give my consideration for, because I think those are the 3 coaches that did the most as far as exceeding expectations. I would say those guys, and I would say Dan Campbell more so than Jim Harbaugh, because Jim Harbaugh still has a franchise quarterback. He still got Justin Herbert. You know what I mean? Now we've talked a lot about Justin Herbert on this channel. Y'all know what's going on there, but he is still one of the more talented quarterbacks in this league, and he is a bona fide franchise quarterback. And he's a $250 million man, so he better be. You know what I mean? And the other two coaches, one had a reclamation project in Sam Darnold, and the other had a rookie. You know what I'm saying? A rookie from LSU, bounced around a little bit, LSU to Arizona State. You know what I mean? Slender as a broom handle. But hey, man, they got it done. So kudos to the Commanders, man, and let's see how far they can go. They got a tall task next week going on the road to Detroit, but we'll talk about it. Let's see. Next game on the docket, man. We had Monday night. Minnesota on the road against the Rams. I was gonna say at the Rams, but given what's going on in LA with the wildfires, this game was actually moved to Arizona. So a neutral site game for both these teams as opposed to a home playoff game for the Rams. Now that could have been, if you're a Rams fan, like that's something that would have concerned me, because having that home field advantage, it means so much more in the playoffs than it does the regular season. You know what I mean? And so, especially with a team that had been as hot, maybe not the end of the year, because the Minnesota, we'll get into it, but Minnesota prior to these last 2 weeks had been playing on fire, especially offensively on fire. And this was a game that they definitely probably had they left a bad taste in their mouth from their regular season matchup. You know what I mean? And so say all that to say, kudos and shout out to the Sean McVay and the Rams. Sean McVay, another guy that probably we haven't really talked about in this light, but he also is a guy that's going to be mentioned in this Coach of the Year consideration as well for the job that he did with these Rams, keeping them in the mix. They end up coming back and winning this division, and now you've won Wildcard weekend. And you know what I mean? And this is a team that was on the precipice of blowing it up. They were a game away from trading Cooper Kupp to my Steelers and from possibly moving Stafford. There was talks that Stafford might be moved to the Vikings, if you believe it or not. And then I think that Vikings win was the catalyst for them to keep the band together and see if we can make a run. Because if they'd have lost that game, by all intents and purposes, it was looking like, the division was out of reach and maybe this wasn't going to be a playoff team. You know what I mean? And so just how quickly things turn, and now here they are. And so we'll see just how long they can keep this party going. But getting into that game, start of this game for sure, that Rams defense was dominant. 9 sacks. The Rams sacked Sam Darnold 9 times. They had 10 tackles for loss as a defense. They had an interception and a fumble recovery for a touchdown ran in by rookie Jared Verse. I mean, just this defense, they might as well have been the 85 Bears. They might as well have been the 2000 Ravens. You know what I mean? The 2005 Steelers. You know what I'm saying? Y'all give my boys enough credit. The 2010 Steelers as well. But you know what I'm saying? Y'all don't hear me though. But no, that's who it might as well have been, man. Just utterly dominant. And kudos to them for sure. And especially for that Rams defense, it's a young group. Jared Verse, probably going to be the defensive rookie of the year. Braden Fisk, his teammate from Florida State, 2nd round pick. I think he finished this year with 8.5 sacks. I think he had a 2.5 in this game. Kobe Turner, 2nd-year player now. He had 10 sacks last year as a rookie, playing next to Aaron Donald. He came back and he had a very productive year rushing the passer this year. I don't know if he got quite the 10 sacks, but I want to say he's somewhere in that 8 to 10 range as well. He had 2 sacks in that game yesterday. And so they've been getting great production from their rookie class, and not just the rookies, but just their young talent itself. Cam Kitchens, rookie safety this year. He was my number 1 safety in the draft coming in. You know what I mean? He had 4 or 5 interceptions on the year. So Les Snead, Sean McVay, they've got some secret sauce, man, in the draft, and they have, it doesn't feel like they've missed in quite a while. So they rebuilt that declining Rams defense that was declining for a year or two now, if we want to be honest. And it's regardless of Aaron Donald being a stud. You know what I mean? It was almost kind of Aaron Donald and everybody kind of fed off what he can give you. But no, this defense is definitely rebounded. And then Stafford and that offense still showing they still can show up to the party. So this Rams team had quite a year as well. And that, thanks in no small part to the job that Sean McVay did definitely coaching this team that, like I said, was on the verge of selling off. It was on the verge of a fire sale. And now to see where they are now, division champions and wild card winner going on in the divisional round. So fantastic season for those Rams for sure. Now, we do have a couple games that are going to be on Saturday, of course, for the divisional round of football. Is going to open on Saturday. We got 2 games Saturday, then 2 more Sunday. And so we'll do a little preview today. Of course, you know your dog. I won't be live on Saturday, so we won't have time to talk about these games. So we'll do it here now with a little preview, and then we'll still tap in on Sunday morning, man, to review the remaining divisional games. And then, of course, talk about how these games turn out. But in the meantime, game number 1, divisional round weekend, is going to be Houston on the road at Kansas City. And honestly, I think I'm taking Kansas City to win for sure. But I do think there is an avenue that the Texans have a shot in this game, man. And I say that because of their pass rush. The weakest part of this Chiefs team, it's not the receiving room. It's the offensive tackle room, man. They get terrible. They're getting terrible pass protection by and large from the offensive tackles. So much so that All-Pro left guard Joe Thuney, he had to bump out the left tackle for maybe this last month or so of games, and he's held up. But that just goes to show just how poorly the tackle production was. Well, the Texans have probably, if not the best, a top 3 or 4 pass rushing tandem in the league. I'm talking about Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter. Both those guys that should have been Pro Bowlers, mind you. They both should have been Pro Bowlers. They should have the spot. There's a Pro Bowl spot for Max Crosby and a Pro Bowl spot for Khalil Mack. Respect to both of y'all. Y'all should have had y'all ass at home. Those 2 seats should belong to Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter both, but they don't. But be that as it may, those guys are studs, and so they've got a chance to wreck this game. We saw what that pass rush was able to do, given Justin Herbert fits just this last week in Houston. Danico Autry getting involved. You know what I mean? Getting some pressures and some sacks in that game as well, in addition to those 2 guys. And so that's where I see this at. And then also Derek Stingley Jr. Derek Stingley Jr. Coming off of an All-Pro year as well. Fantastic. Had a fantastic interception against Justin Herbert in that Chargers game last week. Has fantastic ball skills, just by and large anyway, just at the corner position. So you've got a weak receiving core, respectfully. You've got a weaker receiving room for Kansas City, and you've got a weaker offensive tackle room in Kansas City. And those are the 2 strongest parts of the Texans defense. Derek Stingley leading that secondary, and then the pass rush I just talked about with Anderson and Danielle Hunter. So there's an avenue for the Texans to maybe, they've got a puncher's chance. You know what I mean? Especially they've got to get a turnover, man. They're gonna need a ball to bounce their way. You know what I mean? Especially playing Kansas City, that just by and large, man, Kansas City just the ball always bounces the right way for Kansas City. And I'm not saying that as far as like referee influence. I'm not talking about like that, but just winners win, man. Momentum is real. You know what I mean? And the ball knows which way the wind blows. They've got juice. You know what I mean? And when you've got juice, when you've got something going on, man, just good things happen to you. And that's where Kansas City's at right now, man. So that's why it seems like they kind of get these breaks more regularly than anyone else. I'm just talking about those type of things, not refereeing. I'm not talking getting into that. But anyway, man, if you're Houston, that pass rush has got to be teed up. Derek Stingley just got to keep doing what he's doing. Like I say, he's got a relatively weak opponent. Now, DeAndre Hopkins is a vet. You know what I mean? And this is playoff football, so everything's a little different here. But I'm curious to see how this plays out, man, and if the Texans can find a way to steal a possession or 2 from Kansas City by that defense, and then can CJ and that offense not screw it up, and can they cash in, man? Can you get touchdowns instead of field goals, and can you win the turnover battle? Because that's another thing as well, man. CJ Stroud has not played clean football this year at all. Their offensive line is also struggling in protection. Now, the running game also needs to be strong in this one. Now, that's going to be a tall order. Chris Jones on that defensive side of the ball is an absolute animal. That linebacking core is solid. Nick Bolton, you know what I'm saying? Mizzou, M-I-Z. Shout out to Nick Bolton. Leo Chenal is a guy I really like as well. He's just that do-it-all jump man. You know what I mean? He's just that do-it-all, you know what I'm saying? And we were talking about Mike Vrabel earlier. You know what I'm saying? Leo Chenal puts me in the mind of Vrabel. He's that tweener build. He's built half like a pass rusher, half like a stack backer. He's like 6'4", 250. You know what I mean? So he's big enough and long enough. He can rush the passer, but he's good in space. He's a good tackler. He can drop a little bit. He's just a nice do-it-all guy, man. So I really like Leo Chenal. And so how viable can the Texans running game be to really give them a chance to, for one, take some of the pressure off of CJ Stroud, who's having a sophomore slump of sorts, and also keep Patty off the field. Got to keep Patty off the field. And then let that defense hopefully find a way to get home. And like I said, hopefully cause a turnover and steal a possession. And if you're running the ball, man, and making things that much easier for CJ, like I said, man, there's an avenue for the Texans to shock the world here. So I just want to throw that out there. My dog Keandre said he ain't buying it, man. He said he ain't buying it. CJ's gonna pee the bed, man. I can't say nothing about it, man. CJ hadn't done himself many favors this year. Even in that Chargers game, the Chargers just couldn't capitalize on a lot of opportunities that they had, and that's thanks in no small part to that Texas defense I was just talking about. But yeah, man, a couple bad decisions. That CJ Stroud interception that was end up being called or reversed, but that interception pass to Derwin James is just an example of that. You know what I mean? Like those are things that that could be the difference in some of these games, especially against a quality opponent like Kansas City. And so, we'll see how that happens. But they got a puncher's chance, man. They definitely have a puncher's chance for sure. See, Zach Wilson, man, what's going on? You know what? Hey, man, Zach Wilson, I don't recognize your name, bruh. You sound like you knew, man. If you knew, hey, welcome. Appreciate you. Go ahead, tap in, man. Get real comfortable. Where are you from and who's your team? Where are you from and who's your team, man? Let me know in the chat. Let's see what he got for us. He said, if the NFL had Patrick Mahomes, he would have won the Super Bowl with any team. Wait, if NFL had Patrick Mahomes, he would won the Super Bowl any team. I think he's saying any team that has Patrick Mahomes will win the Super Bowl. Nah, man. Nah, that's too strong a statement. NFL's not like the NBA. Like, in the NBA, LeBron can go anywhere, it feels like, and take a team to the championship. Now, whether or not he wins it, would not. But LeBron goes to your team is competitive tomorrow. NFL's not quite like that, man. NFL's still not quite like that. Because for one, there's two sides of the ball. There's a whole half a game that just Patrick doesn't touch the ball. You know what I mean? And then even still, Patrick Mahomes wasn't lights out this year. You must be a Chiefs fan. Let me know. Let me know if you're a Chiefs fan. Because this wasn't a great year by Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes led the league in interceptions for like 80% of this season. Now, I don't know if he finished as the interception leader. I hope he didn't. But for the bulk of this season, at least up until like week 12, I want to say, he was leading the league in interceptions. His interception to touchdown ratio was like 16-11. He wasn't playing great ball. You know what I'm saying? Now that defense, studly. Steve Spagnuolo got that defense humming. You know what I mean? So they are studly. And so and Patty still makes clutch plays he still makes the biggest plays in the biggest moments. But this wasn't a dominant lights out, year from Patty that would make me, you know what I mean? Like this Patty, yeah, you said any NFL team. Nah, man. Nah. NFL just don't work like that. He can't, man. He can't take that Panthers team as it is right now to the Super Bowl. I mean, it just doesn't work the same like that in NFL. And especially, like I said, this wasn't a fantastic year by Patty. Name alone. Without name recognition, if we do a blind Coke and Pepsi test listing out 15 quarterbacks and everybody's names are blind, all you have to look at is stats and production. You're gonna pick 8 to 12. You're gonna pick 8 to 10 quarterbacks comfortably before you choose Patty Mahomes blind based on his production this year. That's the reality of it. Now, when I tell you, or when we say it's Patty, we know his pedigree, we know what he has done, we know what he can do. So that definitely changes the equation. But yeah, man, we were just blind picking guys based on this year's performance. You're gonna name 8 to 10 guys before you name Patty Mahomes this year. So we got to keep it in context, man. Let's see, my dog Zach, man, he said if the Bears drafted him, he would have won the Super Bowl with the Bears. I'm thinking about that. I don't know, because the Bears' offensive line has been in disarray for quite a while, and the talent on that Bears team, like they've made a lot of moves here recently. Going to get DJ Moore was fantastic, but see, I still don't know. Well, you know what? I take it back. Matt Nagy being the coach with the Bears, coming from that Andy Reid tree, of course. So we know what Patty can do as far as how he can do and produce in an Andy Reid system. And so maybe if you're going to tell me that Matt Nagy with Patrick Mahomes, who we know now in hindsight is fantastic in that Andy Reid system, if maybe Nagy now has more success because he's got Patty, but that roster still wasn't ready. The offensive line is terrible. And the weapons weren't there. Like they went and got an injured Keenan Allen this year, an older injured Keenan Allen this year. You drafted a rookie Rome Odunze, who I think has a chance to be solid. And then they traded for DJ Moore just 2 years ago. They made that trade with the Panthers 2 years ago, and the Panthers got the number one pick to draft Bryce Young. But before then, who was he throwing to? Darnell Mooney, who has a productive year in Atlanta. I think Darnell Mooney probably had the best year of his career this last year in Atlanta. He still finished under 1,000 receiving yards, and I was surprised to see that. He finished just under 1,000. I think he had like 995 receiving yards, if I'm not mistaken. So I still don't know if they win the Super Bowl. I still don't know. That defense, especially at this time, because you got to remember, what year was that Patty got drafted? Was that the 2018 class? Somebody help me out. Is this 2018? I feel like this is somewhere around 2016, 2018, if I'm not mistaken, that Patrick Mahomes and like that class got drafted. Patrick Mahomes, Mitchell Trubisky. Was Watson in that class? Was Deshaun Watson in that class? Yeah, I think Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Mitchell Trubisky, and there's another one. Somebody else as well. It was 4 or 5 guys that got drafted kind of in the top of this class as well. 2017. Appreciate you, Zach Wilson. Yes, it's 2017. So looking at that 2017 Bears roster as a whole, I don't think so. And here's another thing, though, Zach, that we're not taking into account. Patrick Mahomes is who he is right now because he fell to Andy Reid, because Andy Reid went and got him. They didn't even fall to him. They traded up and went and got him. But without Andy, I don't think Patty's Patty. You know what I mean? Like, it was the perfect situation. He fell to the right coach who was able to nurture his talents. He sat for a whole year. He sat behind Alex Smith, a successful quarterback. They weren't great, but they were a successful competitive team before he got there. They were a division winner and a playoff team before he got there. So he went into a situation that was primed for success. They just needed that final piece, somebody at the quarterback position that could take advantage of opportunities down the field. And so he came in and had the necessary skill set. And then Andy Reid let him bake, culturing him. Because if he goes to Chicago with that roster, he's starting day one. You know what I mean? Now, Zach Wilson, I don't know if you pay attention to the draft. Like, nobody saw Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech and said, this guy's the next shoe-in to be a stud. He wasn't looked at like Andrew Luck coming into the league. Andrew Luck was looked at coming into this league as the next generational talent, ready to go out the box. That's what Andrew Luck was looked at. Patrick Mahomes wasn't looked at like that. He was a wild man. You know what I mean? He was a wild man. His game was closer to Brett Favre than it is to, you know what I'm saying, than Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? He was a wild gunslinger, a crazy college offense. Like I said, Texas Tech. He didn't come from Alabama or Ohio State or Michigan or one of these, traditional powerhouses, one of these traditional blue blood programs. He came from Texas Tech. Texas Tech is the bottom 3 or 4 team in the Big 12 at this time. You know what I mean? So he didn't have that same pedigree like that we know of him now. So no, man, I don't think so. I don't think Patty's the same player that he is today if he went to Matt Nagy and the Bears in 2017 right out the gate. Hell no. Hell no, man. No way. But that's a good comment though. I like what you got going right there. I ain't mad at it. Yeah, I ain't mad at it. That was a good conversation. My dog Karen said this is Chris Jones' team this year. Complete football team. hold each other up year after year, game to game. Yeah, I mean, not even just Chris Jones, man. This defense is bigger than Chris Jones. This defense is damn good on all three levels. So yeah, Chris Jones is he's the premium player on this defense for sure. But there's other solid contributors. Like he's the only dude. And I think we talked about this before, Keandre. Chris Jones is the only like dude on that defensive line. Like he's a stud. But you've got solid compliments. Like Karlaftis is a solid compliment. You know what I mean? He's not a stud, or he's not a guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if Karlaftis on his own is as productive as he is than playing in this defense and, of course, playing next to Chris Jones, but he's still a very solid contributor. You know what I mean? And then on the second level, the combination of Leo Chenal and Nick Bolton, I really like that young linebacker tandem. And then in the secondary, you've got an all-pro in Trent McDuffie. You know what I mean? And you've got other guys that we don't necessarily know all their names, but in that system, the way Spags has that defense dialed in, that defense is fantastic on all three levels. So I think this defense I think you selling the rest of that defense a little short, bro. I think you selling the rest of that defense a little short. Now, Chris Jones is definitely, he's definitely the steak in that meal for sure. But y'all got quality mashed potatoes, bro. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got quality mac and cheese. You feel me? So it's deeper than just Chris Jones. That's what I'll say. He said to play devil's advocate, they went 14-1 with Wanye Morris. Yeah, in spite of Wanye Morris. And it wasn't because of Wanye Morris or the offense. It was the defense. And Kareem Hunt gave y'all a nice spark, especially when he first got there, before them legs wore down. Kareem Hunt had fresh legs when he first got signed. And those first 4 or 5 games, he was damn productive. And that defense won a lot of those games. That special teams unit won a lot of those games. And we cannot say y'all didn't have the ball didn't bounce y'all way a couple times, man. Isaiah Likely's big toe, the no call pass interference in the end zone against the Bengals, and the pass interference called against the Bengals on an interception or deflection, blocked field goal against the against the Broncos. The Buccaneers, without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on Monday night in Kansas City, tying that game up and deciding to go to overtime against Patty for whatever reason. Maybe they go for 2 there and win that game. So there was a couple close calls. So like I said, all 14-1s aren't created equal, bro. All 14-1s aren't created equal. It wasn't dominant. It wasn't dominant. Y'all found a way to win. And so it's still, credit due where, credit earned is credit due. So I'm not taking it away from you, but it wasn't the context of how you just dropped that 14-1 wasn't appropriate. That's what I'm saying. So if the Bears got Patrick Mahomes, would do something against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Not those teams. They couldn't compete. That roster wasn't ready to win. And Patrick needed to be groomed the way he was. Like, Patrick wasn't ready, man. Or who knows? We're talking hypothetically, of course. But hypothetically speaking, of course, Patrick wasn't ready, man. He wasn't ready out the box. He wasn't Andrew Luck. He wasn't. He wasn't ready out the box. And that Bears roster wasn't ready out the box either. So I don't think so, man. Well, no, when you say legit guy, he's not a tier 1. He's not. What I'm saying is, I gave him credit. He's solid, but he's not a tier 1 guy at the position. That's what I mean. He's not. When I say he's not a guy, I'm talking about he's not a premium player at the position. He's not in the conversation with the highest level of guys at his position. He's a tier below those guys. That's not necessarily a knock. But we're not going to talk about George Karlaftis in the same conversation we talk about Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, Michael Parsons, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett. There's a clear group of guys that he's below. So when I say he's not a guy, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the guys at the top table, the elite. He's not one of those guys. That's what I'm saying. Doesn't mean he's not a fantastic player. He's a very good player. He's a very solid player, but he's tier 2. At best, he's tier 2. You see what I'm saying? At best, he's tier 2. There's a clear delineation between George Karlaftis and those guys I just labeled or just listed. He's not he's not sniffing that room. No way. No, sir. That's what I'm saying. But that's not a knock. Ryan Kerrigan, edge player for what used to be the Washington Redskins, now the Commanders. That style of guy. Very solid. Went to a couple Pro Bowls. He was a guy that consistently gave you somewhere between 8 and 11 sacks. You know what I mean? But he was at no time ever considered in the same world as DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller, Jason Taylor. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. He's Ryan Kerrigan. And if you're Ryan Kerrigan in this league, you're a damn good player. But you not elite. You not one of those guys. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to disrespect them. But I'm giving respect to those guys though, because there is a difference. You know what I mean? There's a difference. There's a difference between prime, like De'Aaron Fox isn't prime Steph Curry. De'Aaron Fox can hoop. He ain't Steph Curry. You know what I mean? Prime Donovan Mitchell, it's not James Harden. Still, it's another level. And Donovan Mitchell's a stud. I'm not trying to, what I'm saying? I want to just make it make sense. I'm not knocking him at all. But there's a whole nother level of player, and he's not in that caliber. That's what I'm saying. Like Chris Jones is one of these guys that's in that upper room. Karl Loftus ain't in that room. Karl Loftus gets in the club because he came with Chris Jones. He shows up to the club by himself. He got to wait in line and hope they feel like letting him in at the end of the night. He walks in with Chris Jones. He goes to the front of the line, and they walk right into the VIP, though. That's the difference. Michael Parsons ain't waiting in line. You feel me? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Said Trent and Bolton are guys. Bolton's not one of those guys. Bolton's not up tier. Bolton's not in the same conversation with Fred Warner. You feel me? Bolton's not in the same conversation with Roquan Smith. Now, Roquan Smith did have a down year relatively. It was a down year by comparison to his last year for sure, if you ask me. And you know what he was? He was still first team All-Pro. Now, whether or not you agree with it, I don't necessarily feel like this was the first year All-Pro year from Roquan Smith, but there's a clear gap. There's a clear delineation from those guys. Like, Nick Bolton's not in that conversation. Not yet. Now, not to say he can't get there. He's not there yet. He's not. He's not. You know what I mean? Now, Trent McDuffie, I would say, is a guy. I think Trent McDuffie is, but not Nick Bolton and not George Karlaftis. Yeah. I think Trent McDuffie, yeah. I don't feel bad about giving that to Trent McDuffie. He's a stud, man. He's a stud. I liked him coming out of Washington, I want to say, if I remember right. When he was coming in, when he was getting drafted out of Washington, man, I like this tape. I like this tape coming in. So, yeah, I'll give you Trent McDuffie. Nick Bolton and George Karlaftis, no. Those are they're very solid B players. And I don't mean it as a knock, though. That's what I'm saying. I don't mean it as disrespect. There's nothing wrong with being Ryan Kerrigan in a league that also has Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware. Nothing wrong with being Ryan Kerrigan. That's what George Karlaftis is. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. Said the Bills are trying to get Patrick Mahomes in the 2017 draft. No, I don't remember. I don't remember the Bills being in the mix. The Saints were the team the Saints were the other team that were gunning for Patrick Mahomes, as far as I remember. And that's why the Chiefs had to make that trade because they had to get ahead of the Saints, because by all intents and purposes, the Sean Payton was going to draft Patrick Mahomes. If Sean Payton drafts Patrick Mahomes, he may still be coaching with the Saints for one. And I'm curious to know what that development could have been, because Sean Payton is one of those offensive, masterminds, much like an Andy Reid. So now I think the argument is better with Patrick Mahomes going to the Saints and maybe being successful sooner rather than later than it is with the Bears. That Bears team just didn't have it. That Bears team just wasn't ready to compete. And it didn't help that Matt Nagy couldn't mimic Andy Reid's offense successfully. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a lot of things in play. My dog Keandre said, no, I like Bolton, man. I like Bolton. He's not Fred Warner. He's not in that. He's not in that room, man. He's not. He's not there. Nah, man. Fred Warner and Roquan Smith, I still feel are in a different category than Nick Bolton. But I like Nick Bolton though. I do. I do like Nick Bolton. I'm not meaning to be disrespectful, but nah, man. There's a different, like I said, there's still levels, man. It's a different level of player. Still a different level of player. Maybe Bolton gets there. It's not out the realm of possibility. He's still a young guy. It's what, his third year in the league, I want to say. I believe it's his third year, if I'm not mistaken. He's still super young in the position. And he plays, he's nice. You know what I mean? Not Fred Warner, not Roquan. I was a big Roquan guy in Chicago. I love Roquan Smith. I loved Roquan Smith coming in. I compared Roquan Smith coming in when he was getting drafted. I compared him to Patrick Willis. Patrick Willis is one of my favorite linebackers all the time. I love Patrick Willis coming into the league from Ole Miss, for sure. And Roquan gave me Patrick Willis vibes. That's no small compliment coming from your dog if you know anything about me. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely a Roquan Smith fan, for sure. But nah, I would still say Fred and Roquan are still a good, yeah, they're still a nice, there's still a comfortable gap there before Nick Bolton. And in my opinion, that's all I can get. All I can give you is my opinion. That's all I can do. Hey, Zach Wilson, man, I don't know if you ever told me where you from, man. And so are the Chiefs your team, Zach? I'm assuming the Chiefs are your team, or either that or you're just a huge Patrick Mahomes fan. But are the Chiefs your team, man? Let me know officially. And then, yeah, where you from, man? You from Missouri? From the Kansas City area? Talk to me, man. Talk to me. Then let me see. Oh, we got another game. Look, we did all this talking on that game. We got a whole nother game. The NFC divisional matchup. Washington takes that show on the road to Detroit. And this is where I think the party ends, man. Going to Detroit. Detroit towards the end of the year, it feels like people kind of almost started to sleep on them. People had to, you know what I'm saying? They had to remind everybody just who they was dealing with. It feels like the Lions got to looking around like, hey, man, hold on, man. Why y'all looking at us crazy? Y'all done forgot who we are? All we did was dominate this league for 14 straight weeks, and now we get to the home stretch, and y'all trying to forget who we are, what we done did to this league? They had to remind everybody. They had to go out there and completely decimate the Vikings. And then who knows if maybe the Vikings got spanked like that in LA because maybe they still hadn't recovered from that ass whooping they got from Detroit. You know what I mean? And in Detroit had a fantastic back and forth war with Big Josh Allen and the Bills, and they came up short on that one. But even still, man, this is a team that's battled all year long. I've never been a big fan of theirs, big fan of Dan Campbell, big fan of Jared Goff, and just his rebirth from, you know, how things ended with the Rams. So, you know, y'all know me, man. I love a good underdog story. You know what I mean? I love a good underdog story. And so, I cheer for Jared. I cheer for Jared Goff. I love the aggressiveness of Dan Campbell. You know what I mean? I'm with it, man. Let's win the game right now. I'm not the type of guy that wants to live in my fears. You know what I'm saying? Man, hey, 4th and 2. Shit, I'm looking around too like, shit, we can't get 2 yards? Let's get it. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I feel it, man. But I think Detroit gets this done. Now that defense is so beat up, but that's been the story of their season. They've got 30 players on the IR. They've lost a combination of like 9 defensive starters throughout this year. Doesn't matter. All they do is win ball games. And the games they don't win, they fight tooth and nail. And you got to claw it out their hands. You know what I'm saying? So I like Detroit in this one. I actually saw something that said I think there's a chance that David Montgomery may even play in this game. I don't know how true that is or not. I feel like I remember seeing something like that. It was thought that David Montgomery was going to be lost for the season when he went down. I want to say, was that game against Buffalo, maybe? I think it was that game against Buffalo that he went down because, yeah, he missed the Vikings game. But instead of him missing the season, I think I saw something that said he may even be able to play in this game if they need him to, if they want to push it. If not this game, then definitely the NFC Championship, I would think. He's going to be back. I don't want to misspeak. But I'm not sure exactly when he can or will come back. But I know the thoughts were that he was going to be just out or done for, and that's not the case. And so who knows if he's going to be back or not. But I like this Lions team. and I like them to get this win. I'm going 28-20. I think Jaden Daniels, as talented as he is, I think he's talented and athletic and skilled enough to where he can fight. He can put up a fight. You know what I mean? And especially if you let him keep it close and hang around, his athleticism or his playmaking ability could be the difference in maybe stealing this game. Who knows? Now I think that's a tall order. Rookie quarterback. He went on the road and got a win in Tampa Bay. So he's been on the road in a playoff situation. Going on the road to Detroit, that's a whole nother ball game. That's a whole nother ball game. You know what I mean? And so I think that might be a little too much, a little too tall an order, man. Especially in that dome, man. What's that going to be? Saturday night. That Lions Stadium is ravenous. That fan base is ravenous for success, and they're a real contender, a real shot at a championship, closer than any championship they had, even in the days of Barry Sanders. They probably weren't this close to a championship as they are right now. That building may explode on Saturday. You know what I'm saying? So that I think it's going to be too much, man, for rookie Jaden Daniels and that Commanders team, despite the fantastic season that they had. But I'm definitely taking Detroit in this one to get it done, and I'm going 28-20 Lions. Let me see. My dog Keanu said Chiefs beat the Texans 2 times in the playoffs, 16-20. 22 was the comeback for 20 points, 24 points. Oh, now I remember those are different teams as well. Those are Deshaun Watson's teams for one. But yeah, no, and y'all was a different team. Like those was Deshaun Watson's Texans, and that was Tyreek Hill's Chiefs. That was that iteration of that Andy Reid explosive offense. Y'all not that same team. Y'all a completely different team. That team is a 180 from what y'all are today. You know what I mean? That team was the Showtime Lakers. Y'all not the Showtime Lakers. Y'all the Spurs right now. Y'all Tim Duncan's fundamental Spurs. Y'all the big fundamental, man. Y'all not Magic. You thought y'all was Magic Johnson in the Showtime Lakers? Nah, baby. Y'all not Magic. Y'all are the big fundamental. Slow the game down. Feed the ball to Timmy in the paint. Play defense. Let the other team beat themselves, and we're going to out-coach and out-fundamental everybody that comes into our building. That's who y'all are, bro. Yeah, man, you thought y'all was the Showtime Lakers, boy. Y'all ain't Lob City. You still think y'all Lob City? You not Lob City. Chris Paul ain't throwing half-court alley-oops to Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. That's not who y'all are no more, man. Hell no. It's different. It's different. But not different in a bad way. Y'all winning championships like this, same way y'all competed for championships like that. So in the grand scheme, a win is a win is a win. But yeah, the comparison can't be made to those past matchups just because both teams are so different. You know what I mean? Like those Deshaun Watson's Texans teams were hero ball. They were 9-8. You know what I'm saying? They had JJ Watt win healthy. And then Deshaun Watson playing hero ball, finding time to just throw up Hail Mary or 50-50 passes to DeAndre Hopkins. And that's how they won the bulk of those games. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's different on all the way around on that one. So I can't make the same comparison. Oh, no, that was Zach Wilson that said that. My bad, Zach. My bad, Keandre. I read your name on his comment. But everything still applies, though, what I was saying, though, Zach. Yeah. I think, the comparisons, we can't even make those comparisons, man, just the way these teams are constructed and the way both teams have changed so drastically, since those matchups. Now, this year, what you should have said is earlier this year in the Texans versus Chiefs matchup, that game was competitive for a little while before, I think that's the game that Tank Dell got hurt and almost had his knee torn out of socket. You know what I'm saying? And so that gruesome injury. And, if you remember that game, CJ Stroud took the loss of Tank Dell, his injury in that game. He took it very hard. You know what I mean? Was very emotional. It's his best friend on the team by all accounts. And even besides that, man, you never want to see a teammate, a brother, suffer that style of injury, man, as drastic as that was. And not just drastic injuries alone, but you never want to see any of you guys get hurt. But knowing what Tank Dell's already had to battle against, he's only in his second year. Last year as a rookie, I think he was a third-round rookie out of University of Houston. He's already an undersized guy. He's like 5'8", $160, maybe. Speedster, you know what I mean? Or shifty guy. He exploded onto the scene. You know what I mean? Had a fantastic rookie year. Then he gets injured at the end of the year, doesn't finish healthy, finishes the season on IR. Then in the offseason, he gets shot, right? He gets shot in the offseason as a bystander. I don't know if it's at a party or in a car, but he gets shot, thankfully non-fatal. And then so he had to come back from that. And then now he gets everything in his knee torn to bits, torn to shreds. You know what I mean? And so the style of injury that there's no telling what his timeline for return is, even next season. It's not anticipated he's going to be ready for the start of next season. So he may miss the first half of next season. That's how serious his injury is. And especially it was on that back half of the year as well. So drastic injury. But that game, that first Texans matchup with Kansas City, they were in that game. I can't remember the score, how it wound up or whatever the case, and I can't remember all that, but I want to say the Texans were competitive in that first matchup. And so, like I said, man, there's an avenue for the Texans to make that interesting, but I think it's going to be that defense getting home against Patty. Getting pressure is one thing. You got to get home because getting pressure, that's easy. Those tackles have been swinging doors all year. You know what I mean? Now, Joe Tooney's playing very, very solid at left tackle now, but that offensive line is still a weak point. You know what I mean? And Joe Tooney's only going to play on one side. So Jawan Taylor's still going to be on the other side. And if I'm the Texans, man, I'm taking turns letting Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter whoop his ass. You know what I'm saying? So there's still some weakness there. In that wide receiver room, you've got an older DeAndre Hopkins. You've got a par for the course C player in Juju Smith. You've got a young Xavier Worthy. You know what I mean? And you've got an older Travis Kelce. So that defense has to be stout. They need to get home against Patty. Put them on the ground. You've actually got to get home, back that offense up, man. You can't let Patty take a play that should be 2nd and 17 and instead make it 2nd and 3. You can't let him slip out or evade 2 sacks and find a way to scramble and pick up 15 yards where he should have lost 15 yards the other way. Those are going to be the differences in the game. And Joe Mixon, you got to get the run game going. You know what I mean? You got to, man. So that's the way that the Texans can win this game, in my opinion. Let me see. Man, and I put them down, man, because that was the last game, man. I was about to wind it on down, man. That's the last game. So I was finna wind it on down, but then I seen that comment from Zach Wilson, and so I was speaking on that. But that's all we got though, bro. It's playoff football, man. We only got 4 games. We only got 4 games to talk about. We got 2 games to preview on Saturday. And then, we're going to be back Sunday morning, man. We'll do a recap of Saturday's divisional matchups. And then we'll do the preview of Sunday's games to come, right? And then, we'll talk. We'll have some football talking conversation. You know what I'm saying? We'll have some football talking conversation, any news or anything that may happen, especially with the coaching openings and interviews are underway. And, all those type of things as well, man. So, we'll find a way to fill up an hour or so on Sunday morning, so have no fear. But other than that, that's it. That's all, baby. That's it. That's all, man. That's all we got, man. We came, we saw, we conquered. You know what I'm saying? Wildcard weekend is in the books, man. I think the matchups are going to be way better this weekend than they were Wildcard weekend. Wildcard weekend, honestly, was a dud. Wildcard weekend was a dud, man. We got one competitive game all Wildcard weekend, and that was that Washington and Tampa Bay game. Other than that, they were one-sided games, dominant performances by all the winners, essentially. Well, that Texans and Chargers game, I wouldn't necessarily call the Texans' performance dominant on the whole, but it was still pretty one-sided. Just the Chargers couldn't get anything going, squandered opportunity after opportunity, and Justin Herbert crumpled in the biggest moments, much like it feels like he's more likely to do than not. Just kind of been the story of his tenure in this league, man. But other than that, man, hey, appreciate everybody from coming through, man. Hey, shout out to my dog, Zach Wilson, man. You're a new guy, man. I hadn't seen you in here before. Didn't recognize your name. Hey, I appreciate you coming through, man. You one of them members now, dog. Go ahead, tap it with the 3 amigos for me. Hit that like, hit that share, and subscribe to your dog, man. Wednesdays at 7 o'clock every week. We get in here, we get busy. Sundays at 10 a.m., man. We get in here and get real busy as well, man. The pregame show. So appreciate you, bro. And then shout out to my dog, Keandre, man. Hold me down, man. I'm telling you, I'm working on it, man. I can't figure out why I can't get your stripes, man. But I'm still playing around with it, seeing what's going on with that as well. But man, shout out to my dog. Then hey, the rest of y'all, man, I seen some more of y'all in these views, man. But not enough of y'all got back in them comments. But it's all good, man. Oh man, my fault, man. Hey, shout out to my dog RTC as well, man. I know my dog RTC came through and hollered at me as well. So appreciate you as always, homeboy. But other than that, y'all know what time it is, man. Say the same thing every week. Feel free to say it with me at home. If I forgot to say your name, damn, my bad. But charge it to my head and don't charge it to my heart. You know I'm thinking about you, big dog. I appreciate all the love, support, man. Appreciate all the comments. Appreciate the conversation we had today, man. Love, like I said, man, I really enjoy just having this time, man. Come in here and just talk ball with the gang, man. Talk ball with the community. Talk ball with these members. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate y'all for that. Like I said, don't forget, tap back in with your dog on Sunday, man. Sunday morning, 10 o'clock. We're going to get in here and have a good time. We'll be sure to talk about these games that happen on Saturday and see as we keep inching closer and closer to that Super Bowl. But until then, till Sunday, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. Y'all have fun. Y'all be safe. I'll catch y'all Sunday. Peace.